Pokémon is one of the most beloved franchises of all time, played by veterans and new players alike. The main games have often received criticism for being reskins of the same linear formula, but an interview with Junichi Masuda, the director of Game Freak, revealed that an open-world Pokémon game is very much a possibility. When asked about it, he responded, "I'm always kind of thinking how to approach the Pokémon series from a different aspect, so in that sense, it's still on the cards." But that begs the question, how would an open-world Pokémon game actually work? Pokémon has always had linear progression, but as previous Nintendo open-world games, such as Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey, have shown, open-world benefits and even relies on a style of gameplay in which the player can go anywhere, anytime. For Pokémon to follow suit, a lot of gameplay mechanics would have to be reconsidered. In the current games, you battle gyms in a specific order, with the difficulty scaling with each leader you defeat. With the new mechanic of being able to challenge the gyms in any order you wish, there would need to be a new system in which the difficulty scales with the number of badges you currently have, or where the leaders have different Pokémon they can send out, as was shown in the animated short series, Pokémon Origins. The same logic, of course, applies to trainers and wild Pokémon in the world around you. They could follow the badge scaling rule, but instead, it would be more interesting if trainers and Pokémon of different average levels existed all across the map, with a bias towards lower levels and easy to reach areas, and the player could choose whether to engage in battle with them or not. This would also aid with bringing weaker Pokémon up to later levels, especially if trainers can be battled again after a set amount of time has passed. There's also potential to have the strongest of trainers in hard to reach areas, with great rewards for seeking them out and beating them in battle. Speaking of the world, how would this work? In the traditional games, players overcome roadblocks in the map by using HM moves such as Rock Smash and Cut. The same logic can also apply here, but instead of linear roadblocks, HM moves can help you solve challenges. Small trees in your way? Sure, you could cut them down with your Grovyle, but what if you burnt them down with Charmander instead? Or just flew over them with your Swellow? A game like this could introduce tons of new HM moves to cover all sorts of possibilities, but doing so would make it necessary for the HM moves not to occupy a slot in your movesets, a feature many Pokémon fans have requested in the previous games anyway. Aside from consulting your trusty town map, HM and field moves could also help you traverse the world. There's the obvious ones. Rock Climb could help you scale a steep cliff, Dive lets you explore underwater, but there's also new possibilities for moves both old and new. Defog and Flash can help you explore areas of low visibility or travel through non-populated areas at night, and Fly could let you survey the surroundings from above and travel short distances in real time. But perhaps a fire move like Ember could keep you warm in the snow, or an electric move like Spark could recharge a depleted Pokégear phone. The possibilities are endless. So we've covered HM moves, but what about normal moves? How would Pokémon battles work? An essential part of the Pokémon formula is the turn-based strategy, but this can still work in a 3D environment as games such as Pokémon XD have shown. In XD, when a battle is initiated, it transitions into a battle screen that reflects the environment around it whilst providing a bigger space. It could be argued, however, that in an open-world Pokémon exploration game, such a move would break immersion. The most obvious way around this is to have the trainers be positioned in places that are naturally open in space, forests, grasslands, deserts, or stadiums similar to parks. This could still provide problems if you send out a large Pokémon such as Wailord, who, according to the Pokédex, is the same size as a 5-story building. But a way to counteract this would be to treat the game like it's the real world. Would the people around you and lore authorities be happy if you crush nearby buildings with massive Pokémon? Probably not. In fact, there'd most likely be restrictions on the size of Pokémon that trainers are allowed to battle with in certain areas. And in an open-world Pokémon game, it would be interesting to implement a system so that Pokémon such as those based on fish cannot battle on land without water, and Pokémon who don't swim can't battle in the middle of the ocean. Does this make such Pokémon useless to catch though? Definitely not. In the case of Wailord, the Pokédex also states that it can dive to depths of 3,000 meters in only one breath. So perhaps you can't battle with your Wailord anywhere but the middle of the ocean. but it sure will be useful for underwater exploration. That leaves us with the story. Pokémon has always had a coming-of-age theme, as the player travels and battles for personal progression, dealing with obstacles that come their way. The gym leader route is pretty straightforward, but how would fighting the antagonist work in an open world game? The motivations of the villains had varied across the Pokémon franchise, but has always involved them travelling around from place to place, conveniently being present in the places the player is directed to go. In an open world game, the villainous team could start in a town that's easily accessible in the early game. Many NPCs speak of their presence, what they are doing, and where to find them. But ultimately, it is down to the player whether they want to do anything to stop them or not. To prevent any feeling of linear progression, after this initial encounter, the antagonist could split their resources all across the map, allowing the player to thwart their plans in any order should they want to. There could also be rewards for intervening to encourage players to do so, but not rewards that are necessary to progress the main goal of collecting badges and defeating the Pokémon League. The villainous team should be an enhancement to a coming-of-age story, an opportunity to put your skills and morals to the test, and not used as a talking roadblock to progression, as has been the case in previous games. So, you defeated the bad guys and become champion of the Pokémon League. What now? Well, that leaves us with the very heart of the Pokémon games, collecting them all. The adventure of filling that Pokédex is where an open world format really shines, as unofficial titles such as the Pixelmon mod for Minecraft have shown us in the past. Missing some water types? Time to get out that fishing rod. Or what about some flying types? Take to the sky and catch some in aerial battles. The true test will come with the strongest Pokémon, with legendaries in the most hard to reach of places, which challenge the player to traverse the world with all of their HM and field moves in tow, at their highest levels. Perhaps to track down Mew, you'll have to team up with an archaeologist to decipher ancient runes, or perhaps to reach Rayquaza, you'll take a team of 6 flying Pokémon to travel the distance needed to reach the top of Skypillar whilst avoiding all the Golbat inside. Catching every Pokémon would be a challenge that will take you to every nook and cranny across the entire map, truly challenging your ability to puzzle solve and use your Pokémon team effectively and creatively to succeed. So how do you feel about the prospect of an open world Pokémon game? Do you disagree with our points or have some of your own? Leave a comment to let us know, and keep an eye on GameByte for more from the world of gaming.